What we have here today is we have a promotional video on some of the equipment that McKeegan Equipment Supply sells. First things we're going to cover here today are the notchers. We have several different kinds, as you can see. The first one here is considered our combination notcher. Has jaws to do your aluminum spacer, to put your keeper holes there in your aluminum spacer, as well as a notcher die to notch your mutton. This die has an optional radius cut into it here to allow you to notch pieces that have already been into half rounds as well as straight pieces. On this machine also, it has an optional digital readout scale. This one has the upgrade to the digital scale. Now we also have this unit in just a colonial model that will just notch the mutton. It will not do the aluminum spacer. And we also have these in heavy duty models. This one's a little bigger and a little taller, more for material over 1 inch. We also have here a multi-head, which we can normally put these on an 8-foot bar, and you can independently slide each head back and forth like so. Set them to your notch spacing, insert your material, and punch. This is the combo unit, so you can also do your spacer as well. With this machine, we have an optional micrometer setting bar. It makes it easier to set your notching heads to equal spacing. If we had 10 inches between notches, that's real easy for the operators, 10, 20, 30. However, if you get into something 8 and 7/8, you're asking your operators to add, and that's something we don't want to do. So what we could do with that was we would set this to whatever our notch spacing would be. In this case, it's going to be 5 inches. The gauge block will have a center hole on it as well as a notcher die. You put it in, you set your head accordingly, and you move down. Now we'll go ahead and run one of these here real quick for you. We'll move down to the first one. Just to give you an idea, we slide our gauge block down, we insert our material, we hit the notcher button. If we were making multiple notches, we would slide the notch we just created over the gauge block and make a second, and so forth. Now, as I said, this unit does do spacer as well. It has a self-centering adjustment. So we'll loosen the jaws a little bit, slide our spacer through, close the jaws so it's nice and tight, make our punch. Now, it's the same concept here with all the notching machines. We even have the ability to notch contour bar. And this being the 825, we're using the heavy-duty notcher. We'll punch right through, and we can make a notch in the contour bar. Now, if you have your notchers all set up already, and you just need to punch some keeper holes in your spacer, we do have a keeper punch just for spacer. And it has the same centering adjustment like the notcher. Just simply insert your piece, close the jaws tight around it, hit the button, and it puts your keeper holes in just like the notcher did. Okay, moving on here, keeping with the notcher theme here, what we have is the computerized driven notcher, or the CDN. What this machine does is it will cut and notch your mutton material to the lengths that you specify. It has 2 modes it can run by, either a single mode, just to make single pieces, or an optimizer mode, where you can download a cut list into the machine either via network or via floppy disk. This machine is basically made up of 2 different cartridges. First one being the roller cartridge that has the encoder and the DC motor for driving. Then the tooling cartridge. This tooling cartridge happens to be set up to do flat bar notching. We can also set this up to do contour notching or contour punching for the fish mouth, or keeper punch for spacer. So the tooling cartridge has several different options of what we can do with it. When this machine is purchased, it does come with the table, with the computer software and the computer and everything to just plug and play and get yourself going. So we will go ahead and run a piece for you so you can see how the machine operates. So we're just going to, it's got a touch screen capability, so we're just going to enter our grid and our notching. And then we're going to say we want 3 of them. We hit enter, so it's ready to do it. So we will hit start. It'll prompt me to load the machine. I'll load some material underneath the drive wheels. The photo eyes will see it, and it'll take it through. Just like so. Now also on this machine what we have incorporated is another piece of our equipment called the Mutton Crimper. This is an optional piece. It does not come with the CDN and can be purchased separately. What you do is you take your notch that you created, you set it over the center blade in the middle and hit the buttons on each side. Now what that has done is created a dimple. Let's see if I can get into the light here for you. Created a dimple on each side of the mutton to eliminate your plastic internal keepers. And what you'll do is you'll take another piece that is not crimped, and unfortunately I'm not very good at this, but we'll give it a whirl here. And you can put the pieces together without any internal keeper, and they'll a nice firm fit. What we have here is we have our contour mutton equipment, fabricating equipment for fish mouth intersections. We have several different models of this first machine, which will be your end trim die, which will actually make the fish mouth cut on the material. So we will go ahead and run a piece here for you. So we'll grab a piece of 818. With this machine it has an air switch. As soon as you block the air hole, the machine trips. So we will go ahead and insert our material. Now as you see, I rocked it twice. The first one was to cut the actual material, the second one was to knock the slugs off. We pull it out and we have our fish mouth cut. Okay. This machine actually has 2 dies set up on it. We do sell it with just 1 die. They cannot be run simultaneously, so if you have the same size of material, it doesn't really do you any good to have a second die at the same size. This is more for 2 different sizes of material. Now, we tried to step down with this machine a little bit, so we'll move over here, and what we've done is we've got the same principle, except without the air trigger we have a palm button. So it's the same thing. You insert your material, you hit the palm button, and you get the same cut. Okay. Lastly, we do have the manual machine, which will do the same difference, except it takes 2 strokes to automatically trim the material. So we will insert the material, make 1, take it out, flip it over, insert it again, and make a second. Now with these, any one of these 3 machines, to make the fish mouth, you will also need the punch to put the keepers through. So what we have here is we have the contour mutton punch. It comes standard with a digital readout for accuracy, and basically has a Teflon guide underneath the safety guard that you'd slide your material inside of, like so. Run it up to your gauge block and make your punch. And it gives you a nice square hole on the side to pass your A and B keeper. Now the Teflon guide in the middle is reversible. for two sizes. You have 818 on this one, and on the bottom 825. Just a matter of flipping the guide over for a different size material. Now that we've made our hole and we have our fish mouth pieces, we'll go ahead and we'll put them together here for you. Simply take the A and B keeper, insert the male end, click on the female end, and mate them together. Okay, what we have here is we have the McKeegan double miter saw. We have the ability to turn the blade 70 degrees to the right or 70 degrees to the left. It has a locking knob here to lock at the degree that you need. It's fully enclosed in plastic for safety concerns. No getting your hands near that big 10-inch blade. 8-inch blade, I'm sorry. Now with this saw, it does have the ability to cut multiple pieces as well as do angles. So just to give you a straight cut showing here, it all depends on what size material you're using to how many pieces it can cut. This machine it can be sold separately or with a gauge bar of your choosing, 6, 8 feet, tape bar, digital. We have them all depending on what your plant would use. However, we can sell the saw without the bar as well. So I'm going to reach my arm on here to hold the other side, and we have a foot pedal operated, so we've got it in place. You get a nice clean cut through 4 pieces of 3/16 5/8. Now, to give you a little bit of an angle here, we'll go ahead and set this at, we'll do 45. Lock that in place. Insert our material, run it up to our gauge block stop. Hold it on both sides. Saw blade up and down. And gave us our nice 45-degree cut. The next saw we're going to show you is the angle chop saw or the diamond saw. We have a diamond notcher that we're going to show you in a few minutes. This is the diamond saw that accompanies that. The double miter saw we just showed you can be used with the diamond equipment. However, this is the saw that is primarily used with diamond notching. With the diamond notcher that we'll get to, we do provide a software program that will tell you exactly where and what angles and what length to cut your material. So for this demo, we'll just kind of show you how this saw works. We simply insert our material into the Teflon slides here that are cut out exactly for the width of your material. We'll slide that through. We have clamps on either side of the guides to hold the material in place once we turn the saw on. And what you'll do is once the saw is on and the blade is turning, you will move your handle of your saw to one direction until it bottoms out. Press your button to make the blade go down. Then bring your handle back the other direction until it bottoms out, and then hit your button again. So we'll go ahead and show you that here. Now what we have is 2 cuts ready for the diamond assembly. Okay, keeping with the theme of the saws that we have going at the moment, this is our 4-inch standard chop saw. This one again can be sold separately or also has the option to run a digital or tape measure scale readout alongside of it. This is basically made for single, maybe 2-piece cut at the most, more a specialty shaped saw, and basically has a foot pedal operated just like any of our other saws. And you just simply insert your material under the blade, hit the foot pedal, and it cuts. Okay, what we have here is the diamond notcher that we spoke about a few minutes ago. This is for your angled notches in your material to make your diamond grids. It comes with a Sargon digital readout, and it has an adjustable angle for the cylinders. Loosen the knob, and you can adjust the notch accordingly. It does have degrees marked inside the plate here on the top. And again, the computer program would tell you exactly what degree to set your notches at for the diamond pattern that you're trying to make. So for this example, we'll lock it in at a 45. And you simply insert, it has an aluminum track on each side of it. Simply insert your material in the aluminum track. And once we have it in place, there are clamps in it as well. So as soon as you start to notch, the clamps will come down, the blade will come through, the clamps will release, and you can pull your material out. So now that we've made our first notch, we can pull the material out, and there's our diamond notch. Now, if you were to have multiple notches, it would be the same thing as you just did. After you slide your material through, we continue to slide our material through. The notch, or the knob on the gauge block here itself, will fit right inside the notch you just created for indexing for your next one. And then and continue on until you hit all the notches you need in that particular piece. Okay, what we have here is we have the Sunburst assembly workstation. This particular workstation has the bender, or roll former, or spacer mutton radius former, has the 4-inch chop saw, and has a curved pinner, as well as clamps to hold your mutton in place with tape measure scales to provide your accuracy. Now, the bender itself here, we offer 3 different models. This happens to be the middle one, what we consider the heavy-duty model. Has a pretty big cylinder down here, so it gives you the ability to not only bend roll form material, but extruded contour material as well. We have a standard machine that has a smaller cylinder than that is basically just for your roll form material. And then we also have a hydraulic machine. It doesn't require any air, it's all electric operated, and that one pretty much is for your heavy solid materials. We've covered the 4-inch chop saw that's on the table. It comes in very handy here for doing specialty shapes, and we'll get to the curved pinner here in a second. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll bend you a quick piece here, and it's going to be 3/16, 5/8. So we'll just slide it into our rolls. We've already adjusted our limit screw here and our air pressure so we won't pinch the material. So we go ahead and flip the toggle switch. Bender wheels come up. Maybe just a little more pressure on those. And then we can start our bend. Keeping in mind that this motor is very brand new, so it's running a little slow this morning. We just put this together yesterday, and after a few hours of running, the motor loosens up and it breaks in, just like breaking in your car motor. Once we've completed our pass the first direction till our end, we hit the pedal in the other direction. It will reverse and also increase pressure on the wheels to give you a tighter bend. Now once we've passed through twice, we can lower our toggle switch just a hair, move our set screw down, and bring our wheels back up to increase the bend. Now, depending on the material is how tight you can get. Some contour, some roll form, they all bend a little differently. Depending on the material is how tight you'll be able to get the radius. It varies. So we've got our nice half round circle, so we'll move on from there. What we'll do is we'll bring it over to our clamps. We have a tape rule here on our clamps, as well as up here on the table. So we will adjust our clamp. And adjust our grid until we have, in this case, 9 inches all the way around. So we would take a pencil, mark our spots using the clamps, and then bring it over to our 4-inch saw to make the cutoffs. So we'll do that real quick here for you. Keeping in mind, I'm not making a grid for you here, I'm just trying to demo it for you. So we will go ahead and make our cuts. Now, when we had our piece of material back on our grid, if you can see from the top of the table here, you have scribe marks in the top. These are to do your spokes on your hub. So, just to use my cutoffs to give you an example, if we wanted hubs or spokes to come off here or here, we would just simply mark them with our pencil, and then take our half round over to the curved pinner here. If you use the palm button on the back, you lower the pins from on the inside. Using your adjustment knob on the side of the machine, you move your pins till they're in the center of your slot. Once you set this once, if you always use the same material, you won't have to set it again. Lock it in place. Take your material that has your pencil scribe marks on it, insert it into the slot, find your pencil marks, line them up with the center notch in the guide, hit your button. And if we had that other one like I think we had, there you go. Pull your material out, and now you have your keeper holes on the end to insert your keepers for your spokes.